Hi, everyone. My name is Pierrick. I'm a developer relations engineer from Google Workspace. I'm pretty happy to be here hosting these workshops about Google Chat apps and generative AI. I hope everyone here is having a great time at the event so far. So for this workshop, we will be walking through this specific code tab. So here is the link so that you can access it. I do invite you to do it so that you can easily follow up as I'm working on it. So this is the code lab that hopefully you have open. And as you can see, we will be focusing on 3 different apps today. The first one is called Issue Management App. And the idea is to generate issue report documents using Gemini, obviously. The second one is called the Knowledge app. And this one is all about answering questions based on available sources, again, with Gemini. And the third one is called Feedback app. And this one is more a conversation that you can have with an agent or with the app so that your review is collected and stored automatically. If you are a beginner or if you don't have the development environment that is necessary to go through it, feel free to relax and learn by watching. If otherwise, you can try as I'm doing it. You can do it on your own. And we do have an awesome team of teacher assistants all around the room to help out. So if you have any questions or if you are blocked during this workshop, feel free to raise your hand and someone will come to you. All right, so let's get started. And the first thing I want to show you is what I already have set up on my developer environment. So the first thing I have is an app script project. And it's called Chat Apps Gemini. So if I click on it, you can see that it's pretty basic. It has the code of the quick start that is available on our documentation website. I do have some settings as well changed. This one in particular, which is to show the app script.json file. This is to be able to view it and edit it. I also have my test deployment set up so that it is linked to the latest version of my code. So that will be really helpful when we'll be developing. When we change the code, it will be taken into account directly. And the last thing I've done is a setting of app script. If you go to settings here, you see that I have that enabled, the Google App Script API. And I use that to push my code from my development environment directly to this project. And I will show you how to do that. All right, so this is about AppScript. I do have as well a GCP project for this code lab. I do have the OAuth consent screen set up as an internal app, has the same name. Something else I have is the Google Chat API enabled. So here on my GCP project, you can see that it is enabled. And it is also configured so that it's using the AppScript project I was talking about before. So again, you can see the same name here, Chat Apps Gemini. And if I go down a bit, you can see that the connection settings are set to AppScript project. And this deployment ID is the one I was talking about, the test deployment. All right, so now you know how it looks like. Let's see it in action. So this particular app is basically echoing messages that it receives. It's pretty basic. It's based on the quick start. So let's make sure that it actually works. Hello? You said hello. Well, I guess it works fine. So now that we have all the setup done, let's actually build the first app. And the first app, again, is the issue management app. This particular app is relying on a few important concepts. The first one is Vertex AI. You heard of it, I'm pretty sure. It's anything you need to build and use generative AI The second one is Gemini. I'm sure you heard of it as well. It's a multimodal LLM that can be used through Vertex AI. And the third one that is a bit more chat specific, it's the advanced chat service. This is an AppScript service, or library that can be used to easily access Google Chat APIs. So it makes it much easier when you build your AppScript to use this service. In terms of architecture, pretty basic. We have one Google Chat app. It's linked to an AppScript, and all the events are processed by this AppScript project. So it's pretty basic. We do have quite a few workflows. The first one in this app is to create an issue. The way we do it is a user sends a create/command as a message, in a message, and provides information in the dialog that is popping up from this action. And you can, the user will basically provide some information in the dialog, click create, and the app will be able to do that. When it's done, the app will create a space that is dedicated to this new issue and send back a message with a link to it. The idea is that people will walk in this space to troubleshoot this issue. And that's all about the second user flow here, troubleshooting in the space that has been created for this issue. So people can join, can leave, and can message directly in this space. The third one, and the last one, is to close the issue. When you're done troubleshooting and everything is fine, you want someone to close the issue. So what we have here is someone being able to close the issue using the close/command, which is the second one we have. And what will happen is that the app will aggregate all the messages that was part of this space for the issue and summarize it for you and put that in a new document so that you can access it and maybe share it with someone. All right, in terms of source code, we have quite a few scripts, but I will just focus on the different areas that are specific to Gemini. So the first one is the different services that we need in AppScript. So here we use admin directory. This is to access APIs to retrieve the usernames of people. We need that so that we can understand who is saying what in the chat. And the second one is chat, to be able to list all the messages, for example, in this space, and aggregate the information and summarize it. We also need some scopes specific to admin directory, specific to chat, but also for documents, because we need to create a Google Doc at the end. And we also have cloud platform with Vertex AI. So this is to call Gemini. In terms of configuration, pretty basic. It's just some constant that we use for Vertex AI. And in this script, the chat app, this is where all the magic happens, the actual magic. So as you can see, we have some calls to sub-functions. The first one is to extract the history of the space of the specific issue that we want to create the report for. And as soon as we have this history, we can summarize it. And then as soon as we have the summary, we can create the document with all this information. So this is how it looks like. So for the history, we use the chat service to list all the messages from the space that is specific to the issue we are working on. The second one is to display the username or get the username. So this is using the admin directory service I was talking about. And here we have the function to summarize the information. So as you can see, we use Gemini here from Vertex. And we have a prompt. Pretty simple, just summarize something. The trick here is that we provide all the history directly inside the prompt. So it's a pretty simple use case here. We just call Gemini, ask to summarize this information, and it will come back with it. And the last piece of code is to, as soon as we have this information, is to add that as a paragraph in the document that we are creating. So that's what this code is about. All right, so now you know a bit more about the solution. Let's actually build it. So the first thing I will do is to enable the APIs. I need quite a few here. So the first one is obviously the Google Docs. The admin SDK is the second one, and the Vertex AI. So I just click on enable here. And after a couple of seconds, it should do the job, and that's the case. Now I have that. I also need to create a new service account. So let me click on the button on the Code Lab. So here I just provide a name. So here it's chat app, and I can just use the default configuration. So this service account is useful for application authentication. We use that at different locations in the app. So that's helpful, for example, to create messages on behalf of the app. So as soon as we create this service account, we can just select it. And we want to create a key for it. So we'll just add the key, create key, and select JSON as a format. From there, I can just create. And as you can see, it's automatically downloaded locally. So I will keep it for now here. I will use it later in a further step. All right, so this is about the service accounts. Let's see what's next. Well, I told you we are using slash commands. Slash commands, we need, when we use them, we need to specify them in the configuration of the app. So I'm going back to my configuration of the Google Chat API. And then, as you can see, there is a specific section here for slash commands. So we'll just add this slash command I was talking about. So there is the create, which is ID1. Description doesn't matter much. And then this one opens a dialog, as I said. Now I want the second one, which is to close. So just do that. ID is 2, and just have a description. This one doesn't open any dialog, so I will keep it this way. As soon as I'm done here, I can just save and wait to be saved. That's the case here, so we should be all set. So that's good. We have the configuration done, but the code is still the same. So let's update it to the one for the application. For that, I have my development environment here. I want to use Clasp. It is already installed on my computer. I can just show you that. Clasp version. And by the way, this code that you see here is from the GitHub repository for Google Chat samples. So everyone has access. And in here, I basically clone the Git repository locally, and I open that in my IDE. As soon as I have Clasp installed, I can log in. So let me do that now. This is to make sure I'm using my account and providing all the permissions for Clasp to push the code on the project. So I will just agree to all the terms. All right, so as soon as I'm done with that, let's now actually go to the code and push it to AppScript. So this code I'm talking about is under Chat Apps Gemini, which is the code lab today. The issue management app, which is the app we are building now, and this is the first version of the code that we are using right now. So in the 1-baseline, I will configure the code. And as you can see, there are a couple of things to be changed here. The first one is the chat credentials. We can do that from the private key that we downloaded. So let me do that quickly. I will just copy everything. Oops, sorry. And come back here and paste. From there, I can just save. Make sure that the second constant project ID is set up as well. Mine is called IO Workshop 86, so I can just save that as well. And the other thing I need to do is to make sure whatever I push using Clasp, I want to specify the project that I want to push to. So the way I do it is to create a new file here at the root. I need to call it clasp.json. And that will be a JSON file, so that's also a JSON content. We only have one attribute. It's called script ID. And in there, I need the script ID of my script, of my AppScript project. So this is something I can find here. When I go here, select my project, I can go to settings, and here copy the ID of the script. I will just pass that here, save, and I should be all set to push the code. So let me open a terminal here and do a class push. And hopefully it will push the code. Asking if I want to override, which is a good sign. I'll say yes. And this is it. So the code should be updated. Let me double check that. If I go to the code of my project and refresh, as you can see, there are many more scripts here, and one of them is the configuration file that we just edited. So we should be good here to actually use the app. So let me do that. And the first thing I want to do is just say hello again, just to make sure that the app script project change is taken into account, and that's the case. It's asking me to actually use it in the right way. First thing I want to do is to create an issue. So let me create an issue here. I use the slash command. It pops up the dialog. And as I told you, you will need to provide more information about the issue. And that's what we'll do here. Just for the example, I will just provide me information, click create. Takes a while. But behind the scenes, it's creating a new chat space that will be dedicated to the issue and have myself join the space by default. And it will also provide the description as a message, as a first message of the space. And as you can see, it replied with the space ID and a link. So I can just click on the link, and here we go. We are on it. In the real life, what will happen is that people will be discussing it, and people will leave or join the conversation here. But for the sake of time and demonstration, I will just go with some dummy conversation here. Something like, it was my fault. Sorry about that. We can stop troubleshooting. All right. And here, let's say everything went fine, and people agree that everything is sorted out. We can just close the issue. So I will use the second slash command. And this time, what happens behind the scenes is all these sub functions that I was talking about. So it's collecting all the history of the messages I sent, summarizing through Vertex AI and Gemini model, and creating a new document with all this information inside. So here, the new message that is coming back is basically a link to this document. So if I click on it, you will see that I have some nice content. And the most important thing is to notice that we have the history of my messages, as well as the first one. And we also have a nice summary generated by Gemini. Pretty cool. So this is a really basic use case, but it could be much more complex than that. All right, so all done for the first application. Let's move on to the second one. And the second one, if you remember correctly, it is the knowledge app. So I will just go here in the code lab. And this one is slightly different. We want to answer questions based on available sources. So this is something that is called Gen AI grounding. Maybe you heard of it during the event. But basically, the idea is we want to make sure that the AI model is connected to sources and act based on it. So that's what we'll be doing here. And we will also use natural language. In the first app, it was mostly slash commands, which is kind of techy. But here we'll be able to interact with the app directly in natural language, the same way I speak English right now, and you guys may speak German or Chinese. All right, so in terms of architecture, it's slightly different in the way that I don't use app scripts anymore. I will be using something called Dialogflow CX. So I will show you how to do that. But the main idea is that we'll link all app to this Dialogflow CX project instead of app scripts. In terms of flow, there is only one. We ask, and the app answers something, or generate the answer, and provide a reply directly in the space. So we'll use, again, these sources that we can define so that the answer can be generated in the right way and be accurate. In terms of code, it's pretty light. It's actually pretty much nothing. The most important thing here is to collect the data that you need for the app to ingest and understand, so that it can actually answer something meaningful. So here, for the sake of the example, we just have a single PDF, but it could be a website, could be a set of documents, could be also a database, anything like that. So here, what we have is basically this beautiful PDF about what is Google Chat Apps. So hopefully, if we ask any question about that, it will answer something. And in terms of building it is pretty simple. Let me start by enabling the APIs. The same way I did for the first one, we'll be using different APIs for this one. So we're using Dialogflow API, because we're using Dialogflow CX, and we will use Cloud Storage API. And this is because we store the PDF in Cloud Storage, in the buckets, and link it to Dialogflow so that it can answer it. I will show you how it works. So let me enable. Done. All right. The second thing I need to do is, as I told you, it will be based on cloud storage. So I want my PDF to be in a bucket on cloud storage. So that's the first thing I will do here. I click on this link. It leads me to the console. I can create a new bucket, provide a name. So here I will go with knowledge bucket IO. And I can keep everything default and just click create. I do have a bucket. It's empty though. So let me go to the PDF. I need to download this PDF. Just missed that. So let me click on this link here. It leads me to GitHub, and then I can just download this file directly from Git. So now I have it locally, so I can add it, upload it in my bucket. So I will use the upload files and select PDF that I just downloaded, open it, and as soon as it's uploaded, it will be done. Pretty good. All right, so this is for the bucket. The second thing I need to do is to create what we call an agent in Dialogflow CX. So I have a direct link over there that you guys can use as well. You can click on this, and from this location, you can create a new app. So I will just create an app. The type of app that we'll be using here is chat. And I need to provide the name of my company. Here it's Google. The agent name, so we'll just call it knowledge app. And I keep everything else as default. The next step, in the next step, I need to create a data store. I don't have any right now. So I want to make sure that this data store is linked to my bucket that contains the PDF. I upload it. So as I told you, we'll be using cloud storage for it. So I can just select cloud storage. Here, I just need a single file. So we'll just browse to this file. You remember my bucket here. I can just browse to the PDF directly, select it. And I keep unstructured document because PDF is quite unstructured, even though it's still text. And click on continue. I just need to provide a name. So let's go with knowledge data store. Click create. Takes a while. Here we go. So we have data store that is added now, and you can see it from the table. So I can select it so that my app that I'm creating will be using this specific data store that I just created. So I will just create the app now. And after a couple of seconds, I should see my app. So if I go to apps here, you will see that I now have this knowledge app ready. I can just click on it to get access to all the different settings that are generated for me directly. And something I want to change is in the agent settings, I want to go to generative AI. I want to go to generative agent, and I want to change text Bison, which is the default, to Gemini. So the idea here is that the natural language that is used is based on LLM. By default, it's not Gemini, so I'm just changing that. I still need to save to make sure it's actually the case. And that's pretty much it. So we now have a Dialogflow CX agent that is linked to some sources that will be used to generate some answers based on questions. I still need to make sure that my Google Chat app is using this agent. So for that, I just go to my configuration of the Google Chat API. I need to remove the / commands. This is because it's not supported when you're using Dialogflow CX. And here in the connection settings, I will switch from app script project to Dialogflow CX, because that's what we are using. And now what I need is the agent name. So I do have the console here. If I refresh the console, I should see my app. So that's the one I just created. I can copy the name, and that's what I need in my configuration. So I will just copy name and paste in there. And from there, I can just save. So my Google Chat app now is linked to the Dialogflow CX agent I created based on the documentation. Let's try it out. So I'm coming back to my space. I am now on my space with the chat app. And let's ask a question. What is Google Chat? Well, it doesn't understand me. And the reason for that is it takes some time for the documents to be imported and ingested. So for the sake of time, what I have is, and actually I can show you quickly that I'm not wrong with this. So this is a data store I just created. If I go for it, you will see that, yeah, as you can see, it's not imported yet. So it's still in progress. So that's why it doesn't understand me yet. But I created an app, exactly the same agent, and exactly the same configuration. I just did it in the past, so it got time to actually import the document, and I can show you how it looks. And you can see maybe some examples here already. So let's ask the same question. What is Google Chat? Takes a few seconds, but at the end of the day, still answering based on the documentation I provided. Again, it's all about this PDF here, but could be something much bigger than that. We tried a few things with website and database, and that's pretty much the same outcome. So you can go pretty far with that. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's all I had for this specific application. So let's move on to the third one. And for that, I need to change the CodeLab section. All right. So the third one is the Knowledge app. The Knowledge app is based on other concepts that I will just introduce here. Conversational interactions. It's basically conversations that we can have in natural language. And the Open API specification. The Open API specification is a structured language that we can use to specify how a specific service or HTTP API work, or how you can access it, for example. So that's something you may have seen already. It's pretty useful when you try to generate stuff. Having a structured definition of some of the services you can have access to is really, really handy. And we'll be using that here. All right, in terms of architecture, same. We'll be using a Dialogflow CX agent. Will be a different one, but we'll create that as we need it. And the flows will be pretty simple. What we want is a user discussing with an app, with the app, and we want the app to drive a conversation so that the review information is gathered and stored somewhere. So the stored somewhere here will be, fake one. We will mock it, but could be an actual service behind the scenes. Could be also multiple of them. In terms of source code, pretty basic. And again, it's mostly for this particular code lab. As an example, we mock it. The way we mock it is to have this Node.js project. And it basically sends a successful response all the time with an OK string, which is dummy. The important part, I guess, is this open API specification that we have and that we'll use. So we provide the URL of the service. And as you can see, it will require the number of stars, and this is an integer for the review. So this is the review information that we'll gathered before storing. And the only answer that we can get is a 200 as a success. So as I told you, this is something that is mocked, so it's not really that meaningful for this code lab. So I already built all this so that I can show you what it's made of directly. So it's actually interesting to see. All right, so let me show you quickly this mock. So this mock is running on a Google Cloud function. So I have this publicly available, so I can access to it. And as you can see, the source is what I just displayed. So I have the response and OK, the same way I displayed before. The second thing I have created is Dialogflow CX agent. This agent has two main things. The first one is a tool. The second one is an actual agent. So let me check the tool first. And the tool is called Review here, and it's based on OpenAPI. If we check the detail, you can see that I just provide a quick description of what it does. And here is basically taking information about the review and storing somewhere the information. And I provide the OpenAPI specification in there. And as you may recognize the URL of the GCP function that I created. So now I specify the service that I want to call. The rest is exactly the same. I'm expecting a number of stars, and this should be an integer. All right, so this is all about the tool, and we call it Review. When we are now in our agents, we want this agent to perform the task that we want, which is to collect information and make sure it's stored somewhere using the tool. So we provide a goal, natural language. We just explain what this agent is about. So it's about collecting information. Star can be from 0 to 5. 0 is bad, 5 is good. Pretty basic. And then we have also instructions that we can provide, again, with natural language. And we can specify or reference the tools that we want to use at specific times. So here we can say, hey, make sure you gather the number of stars that you want for the review. And as soon as you get that, just use this tool to store it. And as soon as you store it, just provide a confirmation message or something like that. And that's pretty much it. As you can see, it's using the review tool here. So we have it checked. But that's pretty much it. So let's make sure we have the Google Chat app linked to this new agent, though. That's not something I've done. So similar to what we've done previously, I will just go here, copy the name, and in my Google Chat configuration, I will just change the Dialogflow CX agent and save. It's done. So now the application should be specific, should be using the new agent that we just discussed. So let me just say hello again. Well, as you can see, it's now behaving differently. It's saying that it's an agent. Well, an agent here to collect reviews from Google Chat app developers, and it's asking whether I want to leave a review. So I will just say yes, I want that. All right, so it's asking how many stars I want to allocate. So here I will just say 5 because it was great. And that's it. We have a confirmation from the agent saying that the review has been taken into account. I can double check that going to my function. If I go to the logs, I should be able to see something calling me. So I will just double check. And what time is it? 34, likely. At least it's today. And as you can see, it was called by Google Dialogflow. So again, the agent collected the information, thought that it was good enough, and made the call to store it. All right, and that's all about this third application. Again, this is pretty basic use case, but you could have like something way more complex than that. You could have multiple tools. You can have multiple agents doing different flows within the same app. So that could go quite far. All right. Congratulations. Or at least I did build some Google Chat apps with Gemini, 3 of them. This workshop, obviously, we didn't have that much time, so we didn't go in depth. But I really encourage you to go through the entire code lab. We also have optional sections that covers a lot of things that are new to Google Chat. And these features are quite interesting in the world of AI. I can give you a sneak peek of them. The first one is called App Home. So it's basically a home page for an app that can be dynamically generated for a user. So you can provide really tailored information about what's happening, giving an actual dashboard or something like that, or provide more information about how the app works. The second one is all about asynchronous logic. Sometimes you want to be able to subscribe to some events that are generated by the chat apps. For example, a message has been created or a user has been invited to a space. So we can use something called Google Workspace events. It's quite new, and you can subscribe to it and process these events the way you want. It doesn't have to be in a specific app. Another feature pretty interesting is called accessory widgets. So when you work with AI, most of the times you would like to have some feedback. And usually what we like to have on the messages or something that has been generated is quick ways to say thumbs up, thumbs down, this was good, this was bad. So this is what you can use. This little icon here can be linked to an actual action so that when you click on it, the user clicks on it, something happens behind the scenes. So it's way easier to interact with the app. And the last one I wanted to call out is called Dialogflow CX Webhook. It's not specific to Google Chat, but it enables more complex messages. When you get an answer, for example, generated using Dialogflow CX, you can use these webhooks to augment them. So if you guys worked on Google Chat apps in the past, maybe you know about the cards to make the messages more structured. So that's something you can overload. You can overload the text with something more complex than that. And a good example is this example of this app where we ask a question and we get an answer. I told you it's based on sources, right? But when we get the answer, we don't actually have the sources right now. But in this code lab, we also build the way to return the sources if you want to. So here, this answer, for example, was generated based on sources. So we provide specific links to these sources. And here you may recognize the name of the PDF, which is Google Chat Overview. So here there is only one source. But that's the kind of things you can do with this feature. All right. I think that's pretty much all I had for you today. Oops. Well, sorry. It's live. It's really live. Yeah, well, just wanted to say thank you.